What is up, my friends? Welcome to the PinPoint Podcast. I am your host, Jaden Hurd. I'm with my other two colleagues, brothers in Christ, hosts, Christian Jacobs and Kerrigan Skelly. What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Hey, bro.
Good to see y'all.
What's going on?
Well, first of all, Christian, good to see you, bro. What are you drinking?
Well, I have the living water right here. That's all I got today, bro.
That's all right.
You like
What
that?
about you, Kerrigan?
Well, I was drinking some chai, but I finished that. I'm back to the staple. I got the in my cup here. You can hear it. Just some lemon perfect there. Yummy, yummy, yummy. What about you, bro?
Love it. I'm drinking just some leftover raspberry lemonade from last night. I been doing a lot of traveling, a lot going on, as you brothers know, and probably some of y'all in the chat. And I just got me a little Caesar salad from Longhorns last night. I paid $4 for a loaf of bread, Caesar salad, and raspberry lemonade. $4 all for all that. So,
The
Wow,
bachelor
bro.
diet.
yeah,
Oh,
that's it
yeah.
right there, bro. So I haven't had time or the willingness to go grocery shopping yet, which I'm gonna go after this podcast. But yeah, that's my life right now. Friends, welcome to the PinPoint Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Hurd, once again with Kerrigan, Skelly, Christian Jacobs. Just to let you guys know, I tried to actually stream this to my Instagram as well, but I got an error from that. So if you are from my Instagram, sorry about that. I don't know what happened, Riverside. We might be switching over to another streaming platform. I will be testing this on my personal podcast, the Let It Be Heard show. So if you're not subscribed there, a little plug, go subscribe to my personal podcast, Let It Be Heard, where I more talk about social issues and stuff. And well, I don't know, it's just me. I don't know. If you like me, go subscribe. If you don't care about me, then don't bother. Anyway, we're gonna be testing that. If I like it, if I like StreamYard, we'll be on StreamYard, and y'all might see a different setup. But if you guys like this setup, let us know. And we might stick to it. I don't know. We'll see. But we're just trying to weigh our options and stuff. And I hope that they're gonna have their Cyber Monday/week deals still going by the time we consider StreamYard. Yeah.
Bro,
Anyway.
highlight that comment from Andrew, bro.
I was just about to, bro.
You know he's talking about me and Chris, not you and Chris.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, yeah, definitely. Today we're gonna be talking about we're gonna be recapping Thanksgiving, maybe even giving our thoughts on it and stuff like that. I'm sure we have a lot to say, and I'm sure you guys are curious. Last week we obviously didn't do a live stream or podcast. Spent some more time with some family, and I hope you guys did as well. You know, got some good rest. I certainly did. Got to see a lot of the brothers in Georgia and Alabama. We're gonna get into Chris's new segment, which will be fun. Chris has his own segment now that we're gonna start introducing. Then we're gonna get into what you guys actually tuned in for, which was a street preacher got arrested, and it's actually going up to the Supreme Court, and we're gonna update you guys on that story. Of course, we have my WRL segment, and then we're gonna be talking about this guy who got charged for hate speech against Muslims in Florida, of all places, by the way. So that'll be an interesting conversation. Somebody said that me and you are twins, Kerrigan.
I
I
mean,
mean, I
So-
kind of see it.
you both kind of look like me a little bit.
I'm imitating you as you imitate Christ. That's
the
probably
same
why
guy.
they're so confused.
Same kind of shade of skin too. I mean, I'm kind of like both of you. So I mean,
The camera doesn't do
know,
it
bro.
justice.
I don't know.
don't get offended, brothers.
Maybe you need a filter, bro, like a little camera filter to make yourself a little bit darker.
Or we'll let the chat decide.
No, we can take a picture in person this Sunday of all our arms side by side and ask everybody whose arm is whose.
I'd actually
We'll
be
see.
curious.
Yeah, me too. All right, so let's get into Thanksgiving. So first of all, guys, how was your Thanksgiving? But the question I want to, we really want to ask is, what's your favorite meat to eat on Thanksgiving? And
Well,
chat, y'all feel free to answer these questions as well. I want to see your comments, but go ahead, Kerrigan. Sorry.
well, I didn't have it this Thanksgiving, but my favorite meat to eat at any time is steak, just steak. And so I think, if I remember right, I had steak either last Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving before that. That was the best meat Thanksgiving. But the typical thing for Thanksgiving is like dry turkey, right? That's like abominable to me. Like you can't put enough gravy on it to make yourself choke it down. Thankfully, my wife does not make dry turkey. Thank God. She figured out years ago how to make a very moist, very tasty turkey. So we had turkey and ham this Thanksgiving.
Good. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I like steak. I mean, but I don't usually eat that for Thanksgiving. I like to eat, ham with pineapple on it, and I think it adds the perfect sweetness and yeah. But I think it adds the perfect sweetness to it, But I'm also there with Kerrigan as well. I don't really like, dry turkey. But the turkey that I had, because I had Thanksgiving over at, Brother Kerrigan's, his wife made some really good, turkey. It wasn't dry like how I'm used to, which is why I think I defaulted to ham being my favorite around, Thanksgiving, just because I'm always used to eating like a dry turkey. But Yeah, I would say ham.
Great answer. Yeah, I mean, if steak was a Thanksgiving food, then I would say steak as well. But unfortunately, most people don't eat steak on Thanksgiving. My family
Sure.
and the black side of my family, to be very specifically, in Reeltown, Alabama, my favorite meat to eat on Thanksgiving is chitlins.
Does everybody know what that is? Chat, do you know what that
That's
is?
pig intestines.
It's pig intestines. Yeah, they cleaned it, but so what? You know what went through that
Ugh,
intestines? POOP, right down the tube. And that's what
bro,
Jaden likes to eat.
that's not a flex, brother. That's not a flex. That's so gross, man.
Look, throw some hot sauce on there.
No,
Bro, he walked off on
bro.
everything.
Bro, it's the
That's not good.
principle of the matter that you don't eat that kind of stuff. It's not a matter of you can make it taste good. You can fry it up, cook it in some beef tallow, and put some hot sauce on it, some Tony's on it. I mean, it doesn't matter what you put on it. Just the principle of what it is that
Yeah.
makes me not want to eat it.
Don't knock it till you try it, bro. I'm telling
I
you.
mean, the food industry
Bro.
proves to us.
Don't knock it till you try it, bro. Have you ever tried like a scoop full of poop?
Yeah,
knock
that's
it till you
different
try it.
though.
Don't knock it till you try it, bro.
That's different though.
I mean,
Why is it
but the
different?
food industry proves to us that they can make anything nasty taste good. You know what I mean? So
You ever eat dog
I
food,
don't,
Maybe.
bro?
I don't know about that, bro.
You ever eat dog food?
I almost did. You know those little bacon things, and
Yeah.
that you give the dogs the bacon treats.
bacon
They
strips,
smell
bacon
so
strips.
they smell so
Yeah,
good, bro. But
yeah.
my
I
mom
was
said
tempted to
you
eat one of
can.
those.
Yeah, bro, I've always been tempted to eat one of those when I was a little kid. But
I'm
it
about
tastes
to
horrible. I'm
embarrass
sure.
my son Elijah. When he was like 5, he was in charge of feeding our little miniature Schnauzer dog Titus. We lived in Kentucky, and he would actually snack on us every once in a while, the little pellets of dog food. And from what I remember him saying, he liked it. So once again, brother, don't knock it till you try it.
I'll say this though. For the first time, when I went to my black side of my family's Thanksgiving at the Reeltown, Alabama, there was actually oxtail there. And so my favorite meat this year was actually oxtail, not the pig intestines.
That's
So,
a little more normal.
but usually when I show up to Aunt Christine's house, okay, shout out Christine Chitlins. Anyway, next question. What's your favorite side dish? Start with you, Kerrigan.
Well, I think my favorite side dish is
Thanksgiving side dish. Thanksgiving
right,
side dish, yeah.
right. Yeah, we know what the context was. We weren't committing eisegesis like a Calvinist or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not a Calvinist question. Yeah. So, I mean, my favorite side dish has always been stuffing, which I know what you're going to say. It's dressing.
It is
No, it's stuffing. It's usually stuffed inside a turkey, and it gets all moist from that.
That doesn't make any
But-
sense. What are you stuffing the turkey with?
Stuffing.
That doesn't make any sense. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, brother, what's inside your pillow?
What do you mean what's inside my
Stuffing.
pillow?
Stuffing. It might be cotton. It may be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it has a name to
But
it. That's what I don't call it stuffing.
Well, it's
I call
bread
it what-
stuffing, is what it is. Yeah, it's like bread.
Sorry,
stuffing.
won't-
But it's
it's
not
your
dressing.
favorite-
I'm not
Look,
putting it on my salad, bro. I'm not
look, it's
putting
your
it on my
favorite-
salad.
It's your okay. So then, why do you call it cranberry dressing?
Just
You
let
call it
him
cranberry dressing or
answer.
cranberry? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't eat that red stuff that's in the shape of a can. And go,
Me
I don't
either.
eat that
Me
kind of
either.
stuff, bro.
I mean, is your side dish? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, so it's stuffing, but I think my body's having some adverse reactions to it in recent years. It's always the box version of it. Like my wife either needs to make, my mom makes it, so she makes the box version. That's one of her contributions to the Thanksgiving meal because we always have Thanksgiving with her. But my wife's gonna have to make a homemade version next year. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to skip stuffing from now on.
Okay. What about you,
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, I would say I don't think I've ever had this before until I went to Brother Kerrigan's house, but the green bean casserole, I mean, bro, that was really good. That was really
fire.
good. That took my favorite, as far as my sides. But I'd say before that, I'm pretty basic when it comes to eating, so it's probably mashed potatoes, like cheesy mashed potatoes or something like that.
Yeah, my favorite will have to be probably deviled eggs, or I call them heavenly eggs, but people are not going to recognize it. But I call them heavenly eggs. I love heavenly eggs. Like honestly, to me, you can't really mess them up. They're so simple, but some people just really know how to make them like really good. And so I had some heavenly eggs today for lunch with some chicken. Um, Man, I can't get enough of those things.
Isn't that really just like a hard-boiled egg with the yolk taken out and put something else in place?
Yeah, well, but the yolk is in the actual thing that you put like in
Yeah,
back
it's
into
like
it. But yeah,
seasonings, that kind of
yeah,
stuff. I've
yeah,
never been a hard-boiled egg person myself. I couldn't get past it.
Yeah.
Couldn't eat it.
yeah. Okay, see, look, Alyssa, that's Alyssa's favorite too. W.
Okay.
All right. What are your guys' favorite dessert? I'll start with you, Kerrigan.
Okay.
Thanksgiving
So
dessert.
yeah, my favorite dessert through the years has always been my mom's vanilla pudding pie, but it has a graham cracker crust. Just it's very simple, vanilla pudding inside a graham cracker crust, and then whipped cream on top. But I kind of gotten away from that. If we can find it, my favorite is strawberry rhubarb pie. Now, rhubarb is very hard to find, no matter what time of the year it is. But strawberry rhubarb pie with a warm with a little scoop of ice cream on top, that's 100 right there, man.
Yeah, I used to always love, vanilla, the vanilla pudding. But I guess since my palate's changed over the years, it gravitated towards, pumpkin pie. And I could eat some pumpkin pie. And then the pumpkin pie cheesecake that that Kerrigan's wife made that was glorious, man. That was glorious.
Jaden missed
I,
out.
no, I will say, I don't. I did miss out, but I didn't because I had two Thanksgivings first of all, and I
Sure.
mean, no, in the middle of nowhere, Alabama
Yeah.
Thanksgivings, But knowing Angela Skelly, Mrs. Skelly,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I just know, I
You
just
missed out,
know,
bro.
I know, yeah, totally, no, totally, I can't even deny it. My favorite Thanksgiving dessert would have to be sweet potato pie. I mean, it's just a classic. It's easy. It's not like much to it. It's just that, and you know what? I appreciate that.
Simplicity. Yeah.
It looks like Thanksgiving. That's another thing too. When you think of Thanksgiving, you think of three things: turkey, sweet potato pie, and family. Okay, let's just Okay. Anyway, do you or your family have any traditions? Either of you.
Go, Chris.
We just do the traditional. I mean, we come together, we all talk, catch up, play games and everything. But we never really taken up like our own unique tradition or anything. Maybe that'll change, now that I have my own, family. But no, we never really had a like an actual, family based tradition. But we just kind of did it what everyone else does.
Yeah, my mom and my stepdad always come for Thanksgiving whenever we are. And then usually all my family is there. This year, Malachi wasn't able to come, and his wife Grace, they were in Georgia spending time with her family. I don't think they were able to get off work or whatever. But we had everybody else here. My son Matthew, who lives in Indiana now, is here with his girlfriend. And so just spending time with family and some of them you haven't seen for a while. And when I was a kid, it was with my mom's family or my stepdad's family or my dad's family. And so you see family, you do a lot of talking. You might do some arguing about things, depending on what the topic is. And you play board games and you play card games. And in the past, I was watching football. I don't really watch football anymore. Actually, I don't watch it anymore. But I used to watch football in the past because my favorite team in the past always the Detroit Lions, and we would always watch the Lions game.
Yeah, same here. Usually NFL is on. Um, we're usually watching an NFL game or yeah. I mean, I honestly I have two Thanksgivings, so I'll go to my black side, which is in Reeltown, and then I'll go to my white side, which is in Beauregard, Alabama. Y'all probably have no idea what those are, and that's totally okay.
Is
But
Reeltown the name of the town? Reeltown?
yes, Reeltown, Reeltown.
Is there a fake
Shout
town
out,
like across the border?
probably.
Okay.
Shout out the Reeltown Rebels. Anyway, yeah, I mean we watch football or we just so my dad on my black side, my dad he sings and so he would bring his guitar and we'd sing songs or whatever.
Bro, your dad can
Yeah,
sing.
yeah,
Your
he's a
dad can
really good
sing.
singer for sure, for sure. Um, and then yeah, of course, my white side, kind of the same thing, but just white.
Racist.
Yeah, that's right. Just making observations, bro.
So what does that mean though? Like you just put it out there. The black side is this, this, this. The white side is just white.
It's just different, bro. Like I
No,
don't know
tell me
how
what that means though. What do you mean by what's different about it?
so I will say there's a lot of similarities because they're very southern in the middle of nowhere, but the music is different. Like I would say the biggest difference is definitely the music. Um, Even the conversations. I mean, I would say that it's like similar but different. Like I don't know, it's the vibes, bro. It's the
Vibes. No,
vibes,
the
man.
vibes are different. Just the feelings.
Whatever, bro. Chris, let's
Good
move on
vibes
to your
only.
let's move to your Q&A.
Oh,
You had
okay,
some questions
cool.
for us, bro?
Yeah. So this is a new segment that I wanted to do. It's just basically reserving two questions for Kerrigan and for Jaden. And then at the end of it, there's two questions for both of them that they can both chime in on. So the first one I have is for Brother Kerrigan. And I guess I'll kind of alternate back and forth. So the first one will go to Brother Kerrigan. The first question is, should pastors retire?
Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by that. I mean, if a pastor is getting to the point where he can't remember his sermon, he's having this like case of dementia or whatever, then yeah, of course. But if he doesn't have any physical limitations because of old age, listen, let me tell you my plans. My plans are never to retire, ever.
Yeah.
I'd like to die preaching. That's my ultimate, most preferred way of dying. On the streets, maybe if someone throws a rock at my head, I just drop dead right there on the spot. That'd be my favorite way to die. But I don't plan on ever retiring. As far as like a retirement fund, I don't have a retirement fund. Never have. But I hope God, God will always provide for me and take care of me, and I hope to, Lord willing, continue to preach to the day I die.
Amen. Amen. That's good. And the next question is going to be for you, Brother Jaden, which is, where do you see Gen Z 10 years from now?
Oh,
Since you kind of work with, a lot of, Gen Z and everything, but I'm just
I'm gonna
curious to
answer
hear your take.
this. I'm gonna give you two scenarios where Gen Z is gonna end up. The first way that Gen Z is gonna end up is if they go on a trajectory of which most people probably think is gonna happen, where they just end up being total degenerates. They're kind of like the millennials, but times 100, where they're raising their kids to be, live and let live, do whatever you want. They're raising the next generation to be just as worse as they are,
Yeah.
neglecting God, apathetic, don't really care about religion, just kind of want the good vibes only, as Kerrigan would say, right? No, right? That's obviously one scenario. Now I'm gonna tell you what I think is actually gonna happen. I think Gen Z is gonna have the greatest preachers we've ever had. I think Gen Z is gonna have some charismatic men of God who are gonna tear down the high places like Josiah. But I also think there's going to be the other side of it where, yes, there's going to be a lot of degeneracy, but I think they're going to be very loud. But I think there's going to be a lot of Christian Gen Z preachers, like you and I, Christian, honestly, who are just very loud and louder and very bold and step up. I genuinely believe that. I believe that it's going to start with us. And obviously that's evident through, we see like little trinkets of that obviously through, a lot of these preachers that we see online who us brothers would say, wow, like they're great. But even like, I mean, as y'all know, I'm very close to Turning Point, and even like the surface level that Turning Point people are at, like you can just see like there's some sort of like I don't know how to say it, but like some sort of fire under people who they just want they just yearn for something. And I've seen that so much through Gen Z more than any other generation. I feel like every other generation is so apathetic. They're not really like, I don't know how to explain it, but Gen Z is just something different. I believe that's what's going to happen with Gen Z in 10 years. I think in 10 years, you're going to see a lot more Christian Jacobs.
Well, That's an interesting take, bro.
Hopefully.
I know most people disagree
I
with it.
mean,
Most people disagree. They say this new generation, man, just doom scrolling, man. You just wait. All right, just wait.
yeah, I
We'll
mean,
see.
I guess time will tell. But the next question is for Brother Kerrigan. When should parents give their children phones or tablets?
Well, that's going to be on a case by case basis. I can tell you what I did. Um, there's one end of the spectrum that says, well, I'm never giving it to them. Maybe I'll give them a flip phone. But the way I looked at it when I was praying this through when my oldest son was younger, like a young teenager, I what I believe God revealed to me is that he's going to use them eventually anyway. So why not teach him and train him to use it under your supervision, under your careful supervision? So I think Malachi might have got one at 15, and then after that it was by their maturity level. So Emily got one, Kerrigan got one about the same time. They're 2 years apart. They got it about the same time, and they both were very mature for their age. And I was thankful for that. And they've had no problems at all. My second oldest son, Matthew, he had some issues, and so he didn't get one until much later on. I think maybe until he was like 17 or 18, close. It was like 17, I think. But every person who's gotten one so far, my son Elijah has one too. My three youngest don't have anything, and they're about to be 14, or about to be 15, 13, and 11, and they don't have anything. And I don't know when they're going to get it. But my son Elijah has it, but it says lots of restrictions on it. They don't get to keep it anywhere they go at that age when they first get it. There's an app on it that monitors every single little thing they do. We don't let them just get on it whenever they want it for as long as they want. It's used for very practical purposes at first. Like, for example, when my two oldest girls first got a phone, they basically use it for camera, for taking pictures more than anything else. They liked photography. They took pictures. They had no cell phone connection. I let them get on Wi-Fi sometimes, but they really weren't doing anything else with it. They weren't texting people. They weren't going on the internet and browsing. They didn't have a Facebook page. They didn't have any social media. So there's just like, you have to pray it through. But this whole default thing of, oh, here it is. Here's the phone. Let it babysit you so I can go over here and do whatever I want to do. That is neglectful parenting. That is a bad way of doing things. And so if you could pick one extreme, you'd pick the more restrictive extreme. But I kind of was just seeking the Lord about it and wanted to be balanced in it, protect them, teach them how to use it for good. Because, these phones and tablets can be used for very wicked things. The devil can use it to destroy your children. So you need to be careful. I mean, not just children, destroy adults, right? And so they need to be careful that they're using it wisely, and we need to watch over them to make sure they're using it. If they start using it in improper ways, you take it away or put more restrictions upon it. Let them use it less. But listen, we're in a day and age where it's not like going to be an optional thing. In my opinion, I can imagine my children or my grandchildren growing up without electronics, okay, without a phone. It's going to happen. So start teaching them now. Be intentional about it. Be prayerful about it. Watch it. There are all kinds of apps you can put on phones, all kinds of restrictions you can put on phones to stop your kids from getting certain places. And listen, you're going to have to check on them. You can't just let them go off in the corner and stick their face on a phone or tablet screen, and you're not paying attention to them. You got to pay attention to what they're doing. And my kids are growing up, man. They didn't have their faces in front of screens. They had their face with dirt on it. They're outside playing in the grass, playing in the mud, playing with bugs, playing with dogs, playing with chickens. They got outside. That's what my childhood was like. I mean, I watched TV and played a little bit of video games, but I was mostly outside. That's what I wanted for my children too. I didn't want them sticking their face in front of a screen all day, whether it's a TV screen, a phone screen, or a tablet screen. So that's kind of my perspective on it.
Yeah, that's good. I think to highlight that too, I think the neglectful parenting part is key. A lot of parents just throw their children in front of a TV screen, tablet, a phone, whatever it is, and just call that parenting. I mean, it's kind of like a more mature version of a pacifier. But
Mm-hmm.
but here's our next questions. These are for both of you brothers. You can answer first, Brother Kerrigan, and then Jaden, you finish it. So the first one is, what does modesty look like for men and women?
Okay, modesty, whatever you wear, should make people want to look at your face and treat you like you're a human being. It should not make them want to look at your backside, your chest, how buff your arms are, how muscular your abs are. It shouldn't make them want to look at anything else but your face. If what you're wearing is tight or revealing, and it causes people to look at your body instead of look at your face, there's something wrong. And so when we dress, we're not just considering, what's fashionable, what I like, what I think look goods on me, what is cool, whatever it may be. We're thinking about other people. Is this going to cause someone to stumble? And I don't want to make anyone stumble, right? So very practically speaking, for me and my family, it's whatever you're wearing on your bottom, whether if it's for the girls, if it's a dress or a skirt, most times they wear leggings underneath of it. If they're wearing pants, it has to be loose fitting. If they're wearing shorts, it has to be loose fitting, go down to your knees. Same thing with boys. There's nothing different with boys. Loose fitting, down to your knees. We're covering our upper arms. We're covering up to our neck. We're not, obviously, there's no way any of my daughters even consider or think about showing their cleavage or whatever. There's modesty. So modesty is loose fitting. It covers. We only reveal our bodies to our spouses, right? And we need to teach our children early on we don't reveal our bodies except to our spouses. And so, and if you're going to go scripturally speaking, in the Bible, when it came to the priest, their nakedness was called their thigh. So that's your upper leg. That's why I have their standard of, at the least, we cover down to the knees. Now, when we're at home, it's just our family. There might be some little bit of lax in that because it's just your family, just around your family. But still, there's still a modesty there. But when we go out in public or around people who are outside of our family, this is a standard we hold to. And of course, you can go above and beyond. I know people women won't wear pants at all. Okay, that's fine. I mean, as long as you're not calling it a sin to wear pants, I don't have a problem with that. And some men won't wear shorts at all. I know groups that won't wear shorts at all. Hey, praise God. Like if they want to go above and beyond and go further than that, I have no problem with that. That's good. But that's kind of the standard I've used for my family over the years.
That's good. Jada?
Well, he kind of covered it all, but I would definitely agree. Modesty shouldn't just be about, how it looks to others as well, though. It should be how, God looks at you, like you should be doing it as obedience to God as well. God tells you not to let your brother or sister stumble. And hey, you love your neighbor as you love yourself, but first and foremost, you love God. And you know how you love God? Well, you cover up. Really that simple. I actually got convicted about this a while back, early on in my walk, and I stopped taking off my shirt, like at the beach, which I don't even go to the beach anymore. I don't really like it because I can't really swim that well. But at the pool, I don't take off my shirt. Stuff like that. I used to have some American Eagle swim trunks that they weren't like way, way high, but they were like pretty high. And I just, I thought it looked cool. I think they had pineapples on them or something like that. No, they had watermelon on them, and I had to throw them out. But yeah. So yeah, this is good. Look at this, bro. If he covered it all, so should we, bro. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, also another thing too with modesty is a lot of people think that modesty is just on the outward appearance as well, but it's also on the inward, right? You should be modest, in everything, right? Like you should be content to be modest with your finances. You should be modest with even like how you present yourself, like to other people. You shouldn't make everything about you. If you have some sort of success, you shouldn't be boasting in that. So modesty can also apply to, the personality as well, and the inward man, not just the outward appearance. So yeah, if I were to go to the gym, for example, here's a great question. I don't wear tank tops, right? Why do I need to wear a tank top when I have a shirt? It's going to do the same thing. There's literally, and if you think about it, there's literally no benefit to wearing a tank top at all. There's zero benefit to it. As someone who did sports my whole life, there's no benefit to wearing a tank top at all. Same with women wearing a crop top. It's not going to help you. You're going to be hot. You're going to sweat. Cover up. I mean, there's no excuse, especially as a woman of God, a man of God. you do have to cover up. This isn't just like a suggestion. It's not a. People like to say it's a. Oh well, it's. I'm not convicted on it. Well, it doesn't matter if you're convicted or not. It's about what the Bible says. You know, it's just very interesting how people try to justify cussing, being immodest, tattoos, and all this stuff. Oh, it's my personal conviction. It's a gray area. Bryce Crawford, right? No, man, you got to cover up. So, yeah.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
couple more
Amen.
things if I could on that.
Yeah. Sure,
So,
bro.
yeah, modesty, just to go a little further, has to come from the heart, obviously. And so, there are people I've seen who they'll wear a dress, they'll wear a top that covers their arms, they won't wear makeup, they won't wear jewelry, but then their bottom, whatever it is tight on them, their top is tight on them, or they're just really flashy, right? There's like they're still trying to show off while being considered modest. So it's got to come from the heart, right? It's got to come from the heart. And people who are dressed modestly could still be immodest by the way they carry themselves, by what they're wearing and the way they're carrying themselves while they're wearing that, right? That's another thing to consider. And the last thing I'll say about this is modesty is not sectional. It's not like you're modest uh, at the store, you're modest at church, but when you go to the beach, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
As if being near some sand and being near some water or being near chlorinated water called a pool, like that actually, I mean, let me tell you something. When I was in the basic training in the Army, we stood out and fully clothed to the wrist, down to the feet, wearing black boots, and this is camouflage, dark camouflage. I was in Oklahoma in the middle of the summer. We would stand at attention for hours. Don't tell me you cannot wear longer shorts and a shirt that covers you, and you must wear a bikini, or you have to have your shirt off, guys, at the beach because it's hot. I'm not buying it, right? There's some other thing going on here. Maybe you haven't thought about it. Maybe you've just been taught this way, way you've been raised. Maybe you need to think it through a little better, right? So just meditate upon these things and let God deal with you. Why am I dressing like this? Why did I choose that top, that bottom? Why did I make my hair look like that? Why? And then, examine it. Let God deal with you.
Last thing I'll say, because we do have to move on, and Brother Chris actually said this when we were out preaching, bro. But to any man of God shouldn't even like you. This should be like a big issue in your life as well. Like I'm sorry, a big deal to you, like because you don't want first of all you don't want your brothers to stumble, but also like when you're kind of like when the Lord's wanting to put two and two together, two people together, you don't want the person that the Lord's bringing you to make you stumble as well. And also another thing too, but like when we go out and preaching, and Chris, you this is what you mentioned, but like a woman who dresses super immodest, like a real
It's an
man of God is
eyesore.
like, I'm good, bro. I'm good. Look, this is the reaction right here. Look.
Absolutely disgusting, by the way. I almost puked, but let me stay focused.
Let me stay focused, right? I like you gotta lock in. If you're a woman and you haven't really been looking into how you're dressing, you need to start. I'm gonna shout out sister Alyssa. I literally shared with her the gospel. She was super humble. She ended up being born again. Literally the same Friday. I think that happened on like that. Literally the same week. That same Friday, she came out to hand out gospel tracts when we were going out preaching, and she just
Amen.
looked like a totally different person. I was like, what in the world? What are you wearing? Because I'd never seen that like her look like that before. And I was like,
Amen.
wow, like this is praise God. Immediate. And a real woman of God and a man of God will have this conviction and truly obey it. And even if you're not convicted by it, who cares? The Bible is very clear. Anyway.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
one more thing.
Yep.
One more thing.
Oh,
One
go
more
ahead,
thing.
bro.
Go ahead.
So a guy said in the chat, D. Wanis said, "Are we allowed to use communal showers?" Is that I know as Christian? That's no, man. I mean, I was in the Army, man. Like in basic training, even at our base, it was almost like a given where you walk into this area that's like 15 by 10, and there's 3 shower heads, and it's all completely open for guys. And I'm like, I wasn't following Christ at that point in time, but when I started following Christ, I didn't want to take a shower there anymore. I wanted a shower curtain. I wanted to have some privacy, and that's normal. And when it comes to when it comes to the gyms, I want to exhort everybody out there. You know, have a home gym if you can. You're putting yourself unnecessarily in places where you're going to be tempted in ways you should not. I mean, you basically have to look down at the ground with the way people dress at gyms these days. Whether you're going there to pump some iron or going there to play basketball, whatever it may be, you're going to find a lot of immodesty there. So you got to protect your eyes. And like Jaden said, he doesn't really care about going to the beach. There's another reason I don't care about going to the beach these days. I don't want to see all the immodesty there. I mean, we literally,
right.
our family would, a couple of 3 years in a row, we went to Panama City Beach, Florida on a vacation. But you know when we went? We went after Labor Day, because we homeschool. After Labor Day, during the day, during the week. And the part of the beach we went to, there's literally nobody there. So it's like we had our own little private beach to ourselves, no immodesty around us. I love the beach. My family, it's one of our favorite places to go in the whole world. And we have to like find ways to be there when there's like nobody else there and it's still warm enough to enjoy it. So just rethink these things so you're not putting yourself in positions and situations where you're being tempted unnecessarily, and you can just get rid of that and be victorious.
Good.
Amen.
I mean, sorry. This is the last. Sorry, Christian.
No, you're
sorry.
good, bro. I
Because
mean, I didn't know
honestly,
it was gonna
man, we
spark this
should have
much.
just made modesty a whole topic, but we might as well just make it a whole. But literally, another thing I want to say on this too: if you are a Christian, specifically, I want to speak to the brothers real quick, and you have a history of struggling with pornography. Okay, I don't know how else you interpret Jesus when he says, "Cut off the hand, pluck out the eye." Make no provision for the flesh. That means not going to the gym at peak hours or at all. That means not going to the beach or a public pool. That means not if you have to delete social media, no, actually, matter of fact, no social media, no social media. If you, I don't care if don't delete Spotify. Delete Spotify. Some of those album covers that pop up could make you stumble. You never know. I'm just saying, like, make no provision for the flesh. And sisters / women who are watching in general, even if you're not a sister, this is the number one sin across men. I'm just putting it out there. Be a sister. Love your brother. It's not it's not as big of a problem as it is for the sisters. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. Both sides need to cover up. Both sides need to stop lusting. Totally. But brothers specifically, you need to cut off the hand and pluck out the eye, because you can't just expect everyone to cover up, especially if they don't profess to be a Christian. Okay? We can't be the modesty police to people who aren't professing Christ. So you got to take accountability for yourself and not put yourself in that place. That's the last thing I'll say. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to touch up on things, but then you guys would say what I was thinking. I was like, oh, don't need to say it anymore.
That's the Lord.
But yeah, same spirit. But I just noticed one thing you were saying about, I guess like that struggle, especially for younger people. It reminded me that I forgot to ask you your second question, Brother Jay. I don't know if you want to continue to move on into the next question for both of you guys, or if you want me to go ahead and ask that.
Either way is fine with me.
Go ahead, bro. We'll just do it really quick.
Yeah. So your question was, what is Gen Z's biggest struggle, like economically, personally, whatever it is?
Economically, you're not going to be able to buy a house. I mean, right now, Gen Z, there's just a lot of I don't think there's necessarily apathy. I just think that there's a lot of zeal towards everything except Jesus. But I think that zeal can be really. That's why I said earlier, the first question, I do believe that zeal that we have as Gen Z people, it can be used for really good. That's why I think that we're going to be that Josiah generation. So I think that we're going to be willing to tear down those high places. I think we're going to be willing to really get at it. I was out preaching a couple Fridays ago. A couple Saturdays ago. So us three, we went out preaching Friday. I went out preaching Saturday with Jay Aid. I forgot how to say his last name. Bro literally got booed by the whole line, picked up his speaker, carried it across the street, and stood on that little island that y'all probably know of in front of the line, and turned up his speaker and said, you want to boo me? Okay, I'm gonna turn up my speaker. I'm gonna come over there, and he started preaching right in front of the line, and turned up his speaker. That's some Gen Z stuff. I'm not saying Kerrigan would never do that. I'm just saying, bro, that is some G. That's some, you know what I'm saying? Standing on business. So anyway, I think the biggest problem is that we have so much zeal, too much zeal. That's why we're willing to protest and skip class and get arrested and all this stuff. But I think it can be used for God's glory.
Man, yes, you want zeal with knowledge. And then the last question for both of you guys would be: should someone new in the faith start posting videos online immediately?
Obviously not. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who they are. I mean, this is typical among, because this is the social media generation, and you can call it Gen Z, but it's really like the social media generation. Is really what it is. Everything's online, and so everyone wants to be an influencer for whatever reason. They want to get lots of subscribers and lots of views and lots of shares, and I think maybe it's an attention thing. I don't really know, but no, they should not be doing that. It happens a lot with celebrities too. If someone already has a platform, they supposedly get saved, whether it's Kanye West or some other kind of celebrity, and they automatically want to start acting like there's some kind of expert on Christianity. Listen, man, it's a trembling thing to teach God's word. Number one, even posting videos of yourself preaching, like street preaching online, is a trembling thing because you're putting yourself out there, not as a teacher necessarily, but as an example, at the least. And so if you're going to do that, you better make sure you're a good example. Otherwise, you shouldn't be posting anything at all, right? Listen, I know this is the thing with street preaching is that it's like an automatic that you're supposed to videotape yourself. Listen, it's not automatic, okay? I didn't do it for a long time. And then when I finally started doing it in 2006, God obviously led me to do it. This is the start of YouTube, and I started posting online. But no, man, they should not be doing that. In fact, most of them should never, ever post videos of themselves teaching the Bible or representing Christ online. They just shouldn't do it. That's it. That's simple.
Yeah, it was a good year after I was preaching, before I decided to get me a GoPro. And actually, no, it was more than a year. It was probably almost 2 years. I don't remember, because I remember I got my GoPro from Tay. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, that's a tangent. But I waited like a while after I started street preaching to start posting it, and then, so somebody asked a great question, which I was going to answer. Would you have an issue, like, for example, you post a Facebook video saying, "Hey, friends and family, I just want to let y'all know that, like, I'm no longer who I was. I'm now a born again Christian. Share your testimony" type video, because that's something that I feel like a born again Christian who's new to the faith should do. You should be telling everybody and their mama your testimony, right? Like, I would hope. But I think that's a huge difference between obviously what me and you are doing, on this podcast. Because people, look up to people who are teaching on the internet, and then they start to follow, and then you're responsible for those people's souls if you lead them into any false doctrine. So, yeah, but testimony, I mean, that's different.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I think too, like when people post these videos, I think I said this before, but they either have no discipleship, or it's poor discipleship, and I think any brother who wants to, start posting videos online, whether that be preaching or teaching or, testifying or whatever it is, make sure that the Lord is leading you, and make sure that, if you're going to do this, you count the cost just like you did with, salvation, consider what it's going to cost you. So,
And of course, if you're a sister, you should not be posting teaching videos at all,
yeah.
period, ever, right?
Yeah.
It's a little different for them, but even with the men, it's a trembling thing. Not many of you should be teachers, James says, for you'll have a stricter judgment.
Bro, I had that verse used on me on Instagram yesterday. Some dude was like saying, I responded to a comment on Instagram. This would be really quick. And I said, well, no true born again Christian is practicing the things. And the post had like a bunch of sins that Christians need to stop doing. somebody replied to my comment and said, "You're a street preacher?" question mark with the laughing face emoji, and I was like, "You say that?" Then I was like, "You say that as if it's an insult." And then he was like, "Well, you're not anointed. You're just addicted." And I was like, "What am I addicted to?" He's like, "You're addicted to calling people out of their sin." I was like, "Interesting." I was like, "That's interesting." He was like, and then he quoted me James chapter 3, saying that I shouldn't be a
How does he
teacher.
know
I'm
that
like,
about you?
he stalked my page. Clearly, he looked at my page because I don't
And from
have
that, he
street.
knows your intentions.
Exactly, yeah. It was very interesting. But anyway, I was like, "You're bearing false witness," whatever. But it's funny, people use that same verse. Like, I'm not. Wait, hang on. I'm not trying to like be a pastor here, or you watch my little 20-second street preaching video of me preaching the gospel, and you think that I'm out here trying to be like a pastor. Like, bro, what? Anyway, let's move on
Preaching the
because
gospel is definitely different than teaching the word of God. No doubt
for
about
sure,
it.
Big
for
time.
sure, yeah. Let's move on because we are literally like 45 minutes in,
Yeah.
and we have two more stories to go. We actually have two more topics to go through. So, first one, Kerrigan, I don't know if you have it pulled up, but we're going to be reacting to the street preacher case in the Supreme Court. We're just going to give you guys the facts, react to it, and then move on. But yeah, Kerrigan, and try not to end the live stream when
Bro.
you stop sharing it.
You know better than that, bro. All right, here's a video, and it's like a 2 or 3 minute video. It'll tell you basically all the main facts you need to know, and then we'll react to it.
Gabe Olivier is a hardworking family man, runs his own lawn care business. His faith guides his entire life and compels him to share the gospel.
Some people call it street preaching or open air evangelism or witnessing or whatever, but the basic concept of it is that Christ in the scriptures commands us to go boldly to all the world. In the Great Commission, he says to go out into all the world and preach the gospel. And you're free to take a piece of literature from us, and you're free to not take one. You're free to hear our message and free to ignore it, or you're free to come and engage and disagree.
A favorite spot, the Brandon, Mississippi Amphitheater. Thousands come here every summer. The public sidewalk is a perfect spot to preach, but city officials tried to lock away the entire First Amendment in this box.
So part of the ordinance that they passed in the city of Brandon was to have a designated protest zone, which was about 100 yards down the sidewalk, much further away than reasonable, where we could be able to reach people. It looks a little bit more official now, but at the time, it was just a 10 by 10 box.
He knew that was wrong and went back to the sidewalk.
The chief of police actually came down in a golf cart with another officer with him. He got out, and the whole conversation was very short. He informed us that we were in violation of a city ordinance. In the course of me asking a couple questions there, very, very quickly, he decided to make an arrest.
Next thing I know, I'm looking over there, and Gabe was in handcuffs, and the police chief said, unless y'all want to be arrested, you need to leave immediately as well. So I had 2 toddlers and a double stroller, and so I just thought of them.
Gabe pleaded no contest and paid a fine. Then he went to court to challenge the unconstitutional ordinance. But because of a broken part of the law, the judge would not let him bring his case at all.
I'm not a lawyer, and so some of it had to be explained quite a few times to me. Maybe it was naivety on my part, but I was under the impression that when you did what you needed to do to file a case, it got hurt.
First Liberty is asking the Supreme Court to fix what's broken.
He wants his day in court, access to justice. There's certainly nothing more crucial than that. There's no issue more important than that.
You didn't like that? You didn't like that?
I see a godly man that wants to make the Lord known and is bold and not scared to share his faith.
And if they decide to follow Christ one day, I want my children to enjoy the same rights that I've been able to enjoy in the past.
Well, Kerrigan's muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry
bro.
about that. No, I unmuted myself. Yeah, so I don't know Gabe real well, but I've had some interaction with him online. Seemed like a true brother, a good brother. I think he's preaching the true gospel, as far as I know. And this issue going to the Supreme Court is not necessarily to challenge the free speech area at that amphitheater, but it's more to give him the ability to challenge the free speech area that they made at that amphitheater. And so this is not unknown to me. Like, I got arrested at a Lady Gaga concert for this very same reason. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now. I can't remember how long ago it was. You can watch the videos online. But it was in Atlanta, Georgia. Obviously a public walkway. They didn't want us up there. It was a Lady Gaga concert. I had preached at Atlanta Braves games 10 to 12 times. Never had a problem. But a Lady Gaga concert comes in town. They want me to move someplace else where I can't be seen. It's like maybe 300 feet away from where I wanted to be. But still, it's the same thing. You can't, as a Christian who has freedom of speech and freedom of religion in America under the U.S. Constitution, you can't push me off in a corner where I can't be heard and I can't talk to people about my religion. Freedom of speech is the freedom to be heard. Freedom of religion is the ability to tell about your religion to other people. And so, I really hope Gabe, this gets won at the Supreme Court. I hope he gets to go back to the town and challenge this, because I want to challenge. This happened to me. Chris, you were there. Texas State University. Just a week or so ago. They're putting us off on the spot ever since Texas passed this law where there's barely anyone to reach. And so I was praying it through that day. I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going back to the original spot I went to last semester. And I went there and preached for maybe 30 minutes or so. Then the cops showed up, told me I couldn't be there. And then the cops began to follow us everywhere we went. They literally were stalking us.
He means everywhere.
And I told it was like the sergeant. I said, listen, stop following me. I don't want. He said, I don't have to listen to you. I can do whatever I want. The dude was that's actually illegal for him to do that. I haven't broken any laws. I haven't done anything wrong. And then I got in my car in the parking lot, and they followed me off the campus for miles until I basically was outside of the town of San Marcos, Texas. And so this is the same kind of stuff I deal with, man. And I hope, for the sake of all of us, that Gabe wins this case in the Supreme Court, and then I can start doing the same thing here in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it'll take doing, just that as well. I mean, I think, things aren't really established until, stuff is challenged, and I think, like, for the Supreme Court, for this to go all the way to the Supreme Court just really shows the seriousness of this, and I don't know who this brother is, but, I trust your testimony of him. But, I think, for any brother who has to, be suppressed, or just any Christian has to be suppressed in America, I think, it just really shows the times that we're living in. You know what I mean? But
honestly, yeah, that's all cool and all. Real quick, I want to praise God for these tyrants, man. Seriously, thank you. Thank you for being tyrants and not allowing these preachers to preach. And Jada, that sounds crazy, but literally me and Kerrigan Skelly would never have gotten lunch that day if the devil wasn't trying to keep him from preaching the gospel, bro. Thank you, Auburn University, for suppressing free speech. Thank you, Mississippi, for suppressing free speech, because the Lord is going to use it towards his glory. And I'm telling you, bro, the more that this happens, the more bold that you're going to see Christians get. And that's the thing. The devil doubles down, but true men of God triple down, right? Because ultimately we've already won.
Right.
And so the devil is just scrambling to get whatever he can get. But on a serious note, well, that is serious. I do mean that. Me and Kerrigan literally did meet at Auburn University, and I took him out to lunch because I was actually a campus correspondent for campus reform out of Leadership Institute in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to cover this story, and that's when I took him out to lunch to try to see, hey, like, we'll kind of talk through him with it. You know what's funny? They actually denied the story, but I ended up being born again. Isn't that like crazy? It's crazy. The Lord didn't care about no free speech issue, so that's just kind of crazy to me, and looking back on it, praise God for that. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll just leave it at that. Like, that'll be my last thoughts on that. Like, praise God that we're getting persecuted. The Bible says, "Blessed are the persecuted."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
things. So,
go ahead, bro.
So, like Nate Kellum, the guy who you saw speaking on the video, he's actually represented me 3 times. We've won all 3 times. This is back when he was with Alliance Defending Freedom, ADF, and then he was with CRE. Now he's with Liberty First Institute or whatever it's called. So if you're a street preacher out there and you're having legal problems, I would encourage you to get in contact with somebody, right? And Nate Kellum's a good place to start. Even if he can't help you, maybe he can point you to someone in your area, in your state. If he's not under the bar there, not licensed to practice there, maybe he can get you in touch with someone else. He has a lot of connections over the years. And the other thing I would say is this: is as street preachers, we just want to preach the word of God. That's our heart, right? Our heart is not to become free speech activists, win a bunch of lawsuits, win tens of thousands of dollars, win millions of dollars. Our heart is to preach the gospel. But if we run into legal challenge like this, oftentimes it is it's a very good thing for us to stand up, to get some legal counsel, to challenge these things and get things set straight, because we do have freedoms here in America. As the Lord leads us, we should hold on to him for as long as we can.
That's right. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just briefly, like even with the, church in Acts, you see the same thing happening as far as the persecution goes. They're not like taking up stones here in America towards us, but I mean, the same spirit of Antichrist is still working in the children of disobedience. So I think we're going to continue to see that. I mean, like, we don't want to get too like involved with the affairs of this life. I mean, that's really not our battle, but like, of course, if it comes down to it, just like, Paul appealed, to Caesar, sometimes the Lord would lead us to do the same thing, and so like Stephen was a great example. Stephen was stoned, for preaching the gospel. He was preaching so fervently. He was, I think, one of 7 men that was very fervent and filled with the Holy Spirit. And I mean, just like you said, with the whole circumstance with you and Kerrigan meeting, how you became born again out of that. Same thing happened with Paul, Paul or Saul at the time, who he was like, consenting to Paul or Stephen's death, but it eventually turned into him getting right with the Lord. So I think the more we see all of this transpiring where people are persecuting us, whether it's, through the law or physically or whatever it is, God's always going to use it for his glory.
That's right. Yeah, definitely pray for him and his family, and of course his lawyers, and for the Supreme Court to make the right decision. If it gets there, I don't know the details of all that, but
it's tomorrow, brother. It's tomorrow. It's being heard tomorrow.
Well, we will be praying tonight.
Yes, please, if you're in the chat, pray tonight, pray tomorrow. Could be a pretty serious thing.
That's right. All right, guys, let's move on to the best segment in the whole wide world, W or L. All right, W or L time. Kerrigan, what's so funny, bro?
I like the music, brother.
Isn't it great? All right. Tom Brady clones his dog, W or L. In chat, feel free to say W or L. Spam the W's or L's.
Oh.
What's L? L. I mean, and listen, he's got the money, right? It cost him $50,000. He's got the money, but listen, maybe it's time to just move on and get a new dog, right? Not the same dog you had before, with the same exact DNA, right? It's time to get a new dog, right? I mean, obviously he's got the money. $50,000 to Tom is probably like 5 cents to me, right? So it's nothing to him, but still, that $50,000 that could be used for something, somewhere better than cloning a dog.
Yeah. I think it's normalized though in our culture though, because a lot of people treat their dogs like they're children, and so when their dog dies, their baby dies, and so
fur baby, bro, fur baby.
Fur baby. But I think that's the reason why, people are willing, who have the money. I'm sure if there's a lot of, Karens out there that had the money to reincarnate their dog or bring them back to, or clone them or whatever, they would do that, But I think it's normalized, unfortunately, in our culture. Like, he's obviously not going to get backlash for doing that or anything of any, like, maybe what that means for humans. I mean, that's a whole different topic. I don't want to go down that road, but I think it's a big L for sure.
Chat definitely agrees. Friendship evangelism. W or L?
Well, I I guess L since I'm limited to those two. But when I think of friendship evangelism, you know who I'm thinking about. You know, the seed snatchers in Panama City Beach. Um,
Oh,
I think there's different methods for sure when it comes to preaching the gospel. You know, you have like the one-on-one encounter, I guess the table ministry, preaching, heralding your voice, all sorts of different ways, you know. But if we're talking about like the friendship evangelism where they water down the gospel, they compromise on preaching them the truth, then I would say that's an L because one thing that we saw countless times when we preach at Panama City Beach is a lot of these seed snatchers, and thankfully there were some soft-hearted ones that came out of that, or I hope came out of that, but they heard us out at the least. Um, but I would ask them, what's your presentation look like when you're preaching the gospel to these people? Oh, you know, we hug them, we tell them, you know, how much they're loved, and then we pray for them, and then we drop them off at the bar. And I'm like, where is that in the scriptures? You know, and so that I think friendship evangelism, at least for me, has a negative connotation. So with all that in mind, I would say it's an L.
Yeah.
Kerrigan?
Yeah, if that's what friendship and friendship evangelism is not just watering it down. It's also maybe you're not watering it down, but you're waiting a long time before you tell them the truth, right? Every relationship we have as Christians with unbelievers, if there are any, should be based upon the gospel. In other words, they should know where they stand with God. They should know where you stand with God. They should know what a Christian is, what God expects of them. You should share the truth with them as soon as possible, right? And then there's a basis for that relationship, and you don't compromise from that. And if they ever try to get you to compromise from that, you cut it off, like they cut off the hand, pluck out the eye, cut off the foot, right? But if they're willing to stay under that fire and hear the truth, see the truth lived out in your life, I don't have a problem them being around you as long as you're not compromising. But that's the standard. If that standard isn't met, it's got to be cut off, right? But oftentimes what happens, these professing Christians, they do friendship evangelism. In other words, they're waiting around for a long time, and while they're waiting, they're compromising. That's a problem. So real friendship evangelism, what I just explained a second ago, you have people who are unbelievers who you're friends with, right, quotation marks, but you're telling them the truth. And what I've found most times, almost all the time, when I've had friends who are unbelievers, they either get saved or they don't stick around. They can't handle the fire, or they can't handle the truth if they're not going to submit to it. So that's usually what happens. So that's the only time that quote unquote friendship evangelism is a W.
Yeah. No, I if I can, I just want to add real quick too. You know, like with the friendship evangelism, I guess we all as Christians partake in that to a degree to where we are being friends to these people who don't know the Lord, these sinners, right? And you know, I've preached to people one-on-one many, many times in the workplace, but I don't keep like when they ask me to go out and hang out with them and stuff, and it's like a group of sinners, I'm not gonna take them up on that invite just because I want to be surrounded with saints. You know what I mean? And so whenever you know you have a friend that is a sinner, if you want to call them that, you keep them on the outer layer of your friends, the outer circle of your friends, because I think where the compromise can happen is if you invite them on the inner circle to where you're tight with them, right? And then when they start doing things that are kind of questionable, not outright sin, and you start picking up those things, then you start waking up you wake up one day and realize like I used to like shun this, you know, I used to call people out for doing this. Why am I doing these things? And you know, that unhealthy friendship evangelism can result into that.
That's right.
Cool. Cash may be completely phased out by 2035. W or L? I'm very curious to hear what Kerrigan's got to say, but W or L?
Big fat L, man. They're just going to track you everywhere you go, track your purchases, give you your social credit score, take your money away, take away access to your money. They can't do that with cash, really. I mean, they just can't. But listen, I mean, it's not like we haven't all been easing into it. This started happening during the pandemic where they started to say, oh, we don't take cash. This register is card only. And they'll say, well, we still take cash, but it's only these one or two registers over here with the long lines, right? So they really kind of prod you like a cattle into a cattle truck. You got to come this way. this is the way you come. You have to pay with your card. And then it's not just inserting anymore or swiping. It's now just tapping. And then your generation, for the most part, is tapping with their phone, right? So it's just like we're getting used to it. And we all know where it's going. The mark of the beast system, you cannot buy or sell unless you take the mark of the beast on your forehead or on your right hand. And listen, that's the way they're going to stop it. If you have cash, how are they going to stop you? Right? But it's going to happen eventually. I don't like it. I see it coming. I try to hold back the flood as much as I can by paying with cash when I can, but it's just a fact of life now. I mean, for real, bro, when I started paying bills when I was young adult, like your age, like I paid everything with a check, right? I paid my bills with a check. I sent it through the mail, and I had to send it through the mail like 10 days early to make sure it got there on time, or even 2 weeks early to get there on time. And I had a checkbook ledger where I was keeping track of everything, subtracting it from the balance, and I add something, put it on there. That's what I did, right? But you guys are just like, oh, we'll just tap my phone. I don't even need my wallet. I'll just tap my phone on the machine here. It's not working. What am I going to do now? I have to get a card and swipe it or tap it? I mean, it's like so inconvenient, right? But that's what it was like when I was your guys' age.
Yeah, all those payment methods. I mean, to start off, big L for sure. But all those payment methods, I mean, I'd see why we would never go back to that, because like I never wrote a check to anybody that I can remember. Like when I was because I used to be a cashier, at Publix, I think 2017 or whatever. And when people would hand me checks, I'd be like, what is this? So, I mean, I was always thankful to have the convenient tap to pay and everything. But, I mean, that convenience is going to, turn on us one day with, what's coming in the future. But so I would say big L for sure.
I will say I did not learn how to really use a check until I started working for the Texan this year. So shout out to
They're
the
still
Texan.
teaching that. Wow.
Well, you have, so we pay rent with a check, but also
Wow.
with a state Texas politics, that's, the target audience is like, the average age is probably 45. I mean, they want to pay with a check. So you just gotta roll with it. We're gonna end off the WRL segment with this video, and I just want to get your guys' take on it. I mean, it's so fascinating to me, the dichotomy of the two parties here. So a man is protesting a restaurant because they had an all-you-can-eat policy, but then they kicked him out for eating too much. Check this out.
A customer got upset because an all-you-can-eat fish fry didn't live up to its name.
It's false advertising.
Bill Wisseth has a beef with the all-you-can-eat fish fry at Chuck's Place in Thiensville. There Friday when the restaurant cut him off after he ate a dozen pieces.
We asked for more fish, and they refused to give us any more fish.
The restaurant says it was running out of fish. Arguing Bill has been a problem customer before. They sent him on his way with another 8 pieces, but that still wasn't enough. He was so fired up, he called the police. Why did you think you needed to call the police about it?
Well, because I think that people have to stand up for consumers.
And he wasn't done. He came back 2 days later with a picket sign. Elizabeth Remming is a waitress there and says they've tried to work with Bill over the years, like letting him have a tab he still hasn't paid off. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I've got a running account here.
Bill isn't backing down, saying his fish fry fight isn't over.
So,
Bro. He lost his mind.
So first of all, restaurant perspective, is it a W or L for them to cut him off?
It's a W, bro. They ought to cut him off for sure. But they shouldn't be. They should put an asterisk next to all you can eat. Like there's a maximum level, right? Because this guy ate 12 and took 8 more home, and that wasn't enough. And he's running a tab and he hasn't paid it, so he's basically getting fed for free. What's this guy's problem, man? He's a thief.
Yeah, that's true.
But it says all you can eat.
I know. They need to change that sign, bro.
Wait, so typically with buffets, you can eat everything there, but from my understanding, you can't take anything with you. right?
That's true.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's
well,
what
well,
he did, right?
no, well they cut him off because he wouldn't stop eating. He kept eating, and they were literally running out of fish, and so he got so mad that he called the police. But they gave him another like 15 fish to take
Gotcha.
home with
Okay.
him because like, hey, we're sorry for cutting you off, and they didn't make him pay. So now
They
he's
did the. I mean, I wouldn't say the right thing because I would still demand someone to pay for that. But I mean, they're not in the wrong here for sure.
I
That guy
think
has a gluttony problem.
For sure.
I think if you're gonna advertise it, then hey, look, you change your policy. You know, and I guarantee you they did.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they did.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope
from the
you
guy's
guys-
That was
perspective-
funny though.
From the guy's perspective, it's an L, but he's a glutton and
Yeah,
a thief.
Big time.
And he's one of those guys where he's doing this stuff and he somehow in his delusional mind thinks it's the right thing to do, but he's literally exposing himself. He's revealing his true colors, and people are seeing that. And so that's what you're getting with him. And so it's an L for him.
That's right. We're gonna move on to the man charged with felony. He charged with a hate crime. But friends, that was W or L. All right, Kerrigan, let's get into it.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to watch a short video. And what you're going to see in this video is what actually happened. This is at University of South Florida in Tampa Bay, Florida. And there's some Muslims who are praying in a parking lot. Don't ask me why they're praying in a parking lot, but they're praying in a parking lot. And then there's some men, and I don't really know who these men are. I know nothing about their testimony, and I'm not approving of what they're doing. I want to make that really clear from the start. We're simply going to respond to what happened and the ramifications. So this is what happened. Let's watch the video.
Every tongue shall confess, every knee shall bow that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord.
Bacon. It's really good.
Bacon?
Bacon? Anybody?
Under the new rules from the 12th Imam, you can eat bacon. It's halal. You can eat bacon whenever you want.
After the prayer ended, we look up to see them taunting us in our faces with bacon.
Okay, so that's, I mean, listen. I would not do what those guys did. Now, the words he said are obviously accurate, but love your neighbor as yourself, right? I wouldn't, if I was praying, I wouldn't want Muslims to interrupt me and say, Jesus is just a prophet. He's not the son of God. You know, there's even though I don't respect their religion, I respect the people, and I want them to be saved, and I don't think that's the way to go about it. But the question is it legal?
To be clear, by the way, I'm not laughing because of what the men were doing. I started laughing because after he said bacon, he started crying.
Bro, I mean, I've heard of crying over spilled milk, but crying over fried bacon, I've never heard of that before. Crying over fried bacon, bro. When I see bacon and it's sizzling on a hot plate, I'm not crying. I'm rejoicing.
Yeah, I'm crying. Tears of joy, bro.
And like if I was like someone who believed I couldn't eat certain things, like a vegan, or I was a carnivore for a while, when I saw a salad, I didn't cry over it, right? So I don't have to cry over that stuff. That's just, to me, that's just virtue signaling. Is all it is.
What happened to these Muslims being, super manly? Because they make fun of Christians for not persecuting others, not fighting back. What happened to these manly, these masculine, super strong Mohammedans, bro? What happened? Aren't you guys supposed to be conquerors? But you're crying over a dead pig?
Right. So let me just say what the Twitter post said. We watched the video, but the Twitter post said that this is from about a week ago, a little over a week ago. These two men face felony charges after they taunted Muslims during prayer with bacon at the University of South Florida. This is in Florida. This is Ron DeSantis land. Let's see how well the Constitution holds up there. Like once again, I wouldn't do what these guys did, but are they able to do it? Are they allowed to do it? Yes, they are. There's nothing, they didn't do anything illegal that I know of, and they definitely didn't commit a hate crime, right? They're being charged with felony hate crime charges for taunting these Muslim men with bacon.
Yeah, I would say, legally they did nothing wrong. I mean, on the spiritual side of things, of course, they preach the gospel to them as far as like, telling them the truth, that every knee will bow and, every tongue will confess. But it's kind of like, different crowds of preachers that we would separate ourselves from, ones that, go to, divisive tactics to, I guess, kind of provoke a response, And I think for, any Christian, like, because for Christians, even if a brother were to stumble because of something that I ate, like let's just take pork, right? Even as Paul said that he wouldn't eat those things as long as he lives, just to not offend that brother. So like these Christians in this video, I mean, obviously these Muslims are not, Christians, but that same concept should still be there to not, offend anyone, right? To not be a stumbling block to anyone. But legally, they did nothing wrong, of course. I think the law, is on their side as far as freedom of religion, freedom of expression. But like Brother Kerrigan said, those are not methods that we would adopt at all.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with you, Chris. We should be not hurting our witness at all. Matter of fact, there was one time that we were out preaching, and I used to say the R word. Do y'all know what word I'm talking about? It's not a cuss word, but it's to describe someone to be very dumb.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't say it anymore. Not because I think it's a cuss word or that I'm going to go to hell for it. I actually don't believe that at all. I believe anybody that uses that word, I mean, to me, I think you're fine. I mean, unless I'm willing to be corrected. But I said it once early on in my walk while in front of. I said, "Oh, that's," and I said the R word. "Oh, that's," and I was literally talking about something completely different. And there was a guy listening to me, who was an unbeliever, and he was like, "Dude, are you really gonna convince us to believe what you're saying when you say stuff like that? Like that's so that's not a nice word to use." And I was like, "You know what? You're right." I told him, I was like, "You're right. Like, you know what? I'm not gonna say that word again." And he was like, "Oh." I think he expected me to just, push back, but I think he's right. Like he's totally right. Like, because again, it's not me like appealing to my audience or anything like that. It's not me compromising on my faith. But I don't want to hurt my witness, and I want to be as wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. And if we want souls to be saved, again, not compromise on the gospel and the message or even our tone when needed. I'm not talking about that. But, I would not, if I'm arguing with a Muslim, I'm not going to whip out a piece of bacon and start making fun of him, okay? I'm not going to say the R word around somebody that it offends them. If I'm debating a vegan, if I'm trying to share the gospel with them, I'm not going to, boast about how much steak I ate the night previous. It's just not helpful. It's not fruitful. If anything, it's going to cause them to be pushed away. That's the actual pushing away. You know how people say, "Oh, you're pushing people away. You're pushing," when you're actually just preaching the gospel. No, that's different. Okay, that's different. And so in that case, I agree with y'all both. Of course, we shouldn't be whipping out bacon. Not saying that they did anything legally wrong, of course. Which, of course, I also want to address. This was in a public parking lot. They're praying. Now let's reverse the roles and let's go to Saudi Arabia. And me, you, and Chris Kerrigan, me, Kerrigan, and Chris, we're going to get on our knees and we're going to start literally praying. We're not even going to pray out loud. We're just going to pray to ourselves, okay?
That's
but we'll
direct
just bow
access to
down.
the Father.
And my friends, guess what would happen if Muslims saw us doing that in public in Saudi Arabia? Oh, they're not going to hold up bacon. Or not bacon. They're not going to hold up Bibles and start burning the Bibles or anything. Anything that would try to offend us. No.
Cut your head off.
Yeah, or yeah, of course. Whatever, you're done. And so, yes, of course, this Muslim is sitting here crying about some bacon. But I wonder how he would feel about seeing the roles reversed in Saudi Arabia? Is he going to be crying for the Christians who are being persecuted right now in Saudi Arabia and in the Middle East and in Ethiopia? Okay, of course not. It's hypocrisy. He doesn't actually. He doesn't. You know, and so Muslims, you know, when the roles are reversed, are way worse than a Christian would ever be in this case. You know, and you know, the comment says this right here. Muslims should not be praying in the streets at all. I actually agree. I think I mean, that's a hot take. I know we just did a whole segment on free speech. Um, Maybe we should do another podcast about this, but, you know, with the rise of like, you know, Islam in Europe, you're seeing what's happened there. And then you're seeing what's happening in New York and in Texas right now.
Well, I want to touch on that a little bit, brother.
Yeah, go ahead. No, please do. Please do.
Yeah, the follow-up to this, there's an organization called CARE, which is the largest, America's largest Muslim civil rights organization. This was their post after it happened. It says, we welcome the arrest of 2 individuals charged with felony hate crimes for harassing Muslim students while they pray at the University of South Florida. We call on University of South Florida police to swiftly identify and arrest the 3rd suspect caught on video, and urge law enforcement in Hollywood, Florida to pursue hate crime charges in a similar case the same day. So let me just explain to you how this works with Islam. Islam has this doctrine called taqiyya. Taqiyya allows them to lie to the infidel, to put on a front with an infidel to further their religion. So they tell you the Muslim pattern of how they come into countries. First, they slowly come into a country, whether it's by immigration or they're saying that they kicked out of their home country and they have nowhere to go. They're seeking a better place to live. They play like they're peaceful at first. Then they have lots of children. Muslim men have multiple wives, have 4 or 5 children per wife. People who are that native citizens of that country have maybe 1, maybe 2, on average, children per marriage. And they outnumber them eventually. Then they have lots of children. They play the victim when they're singled out. They act like they're peaceful. Then they eventually outnumber the native citizens of that area. They take control politically. Then they reveal their true self. This is the pattern we've seen all across the world as Muslims do this. This guy crying some crocodile tears over some bacon, I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. And this is the same kind of us they pulled to other places, and we ought not put up with it. I don't, like we've said sometimes, I do not agree with this guy's strategy, this guy's way of doing things, talking about bacon. Listen, I don't want to disturb them when they're praying. I want to talk to them when they're not praying. And I want to reason with them from the Word of God and about their false religion of Islam. I believe they're serving a false God. I believe Allah is a devil. That's what I believe. But I'm going to talk to them about it and not mock them with bacon while they're praying in public, right? And so this organization, CARE, in fact, CAR, the Texas governor, Abbott, is trying to get this organization listed as a terrorist organization.
Which, yeah, they are, by the way. But sorry, go
ahead. And I don't have a problem with that at all, right? But they're trying to use our laws, freedom of speech and freedom of religion, and they're trying to actually take advantage of it and the niceness of Americans. They're trying to take advantage of that and literally take over. That's my opinion on this.
Yeah,
I
it's
totally
actually
agree.
interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I'll just, briefly say this, that, I didn't know, all the points you're going to mention there, but I was actually just watching a video before we hopped on here. I think he was an atheist Jew, and he was, going to Nazareth or whatever, and there's actually a lot of, Jews there, a lot of Muslims there, Arabs, whatever. And he was interviewing people that came from the UK who are also Jews, and he's asking them, why are you moving here? And everybody said what you just said, Brother Kerrigan, about, they're invading our country, our politics, they're having lots of children, and, they're coming here in large quantities. And so I think we see that happening here in America too. Because I actually watched another video of this one guy. I don't know if he's a Christian or what, but never seen him before. But he went to Minnesota, I think it was, where I guess this is happening like in mass quantities up there. Like churches are like shutting down and turning into mosques, and they're all like people from Somalia. A lot of them don't speak English, and I'm just like this like if you just watched this video and had no context of where it was, you would think this is like a different country completely. And I think we see this happening all over the Western nation, you know. But it's really sad to see it unfold.
Yeah, and honestly, like it's a shame because the reason this is happening is not because the government's too nice, it's not because our laws are so lenient, it's not because the Muslims are so evil, wah, 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 wah. It's because we have a lot of fake, apathetic, professing Christians. This would never have happened if true born-again Christians were doing what they're supposed to be doing in mass quantities, right? If professing Christians would stop being lukewarm, this wouldn't be happening. As a matter of fact, again, that's like literally what's going to bring the end times. It's just a bunch of hypocrisy. And of course, the Antichrist is going to take advantage of it. And as Kerrigan has said multiple times, he believes, not necessarily that it's going to be, he believes Antichrist is going to be Muslim, right? And so, and it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And so, yeah, this is, I'm not going to say it's our fault, like on this panel, but it's our fault in the sense of this is Christianity's fault, for sure.
Yeah, we're doing what we can.
False Christianity, yeah.
We're doing what we can, and every true Christian needs to rise up. And we're not doing it, once again, motivation-wise. We're not doing it to sustain this nation, to make sure it doesn't become a Muslim nation. We're doing it for the glory of God. We're doing it for the salvation of souls. We love God. We love people. We want to obey God. We want to reach out to people. But one of the byproducts of that is that we could have like a revival here in America, right? One of the byproducts of that is that Muslims will convert to Christianity, and Muslims won't feel comfortable trying to move in and take over and take control. And listen to this. When Christians love Jesus and they do things right relationally and they get married, naturally speaking, there's obviously circumstances that can stop this. Naturally speaking, they're going to have lots of kids too, right? So we're gonna outnumber them that way too. We'll have lots of, and the way I'm training my children, the way I raise my children is to be evangelists. I'm not talking about that's like going to street preach, like I do, and like my son Elijah has done it, Malcolm has done it a couple times, and some of my little children have done it a couple times. But to be mindful of those who are around you, to try to reach out to them, give them a gospel tract, share the truth with them. It's not optional to share the truth. It's every Christian's job to take their part in the Great Commission. And when we're doing these things, we're doing our part, we're having lots of kids, we're teaching them to do their part. Listen, it's going to be overwhelming. This nation will change, and we'll see some kind of real revival. You know, not necessarily like an end times revival, but like little pockets here and there of people getting saved in large quantities, like we should be seeing if everybody's preaching the gospel. They should.
Leave it to Gen Z, bro.
I'm not sure I'm going to do that, brother. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, but I'll do what I can to influence Gen Z, to raise up Gen Z, to disciple Gen Z, so when I'm gone, they can take the reins. I'll tell you this, my generation dropped the ball, for sure. The generation before mine, the baby boomers dropped the ball. And the generation after mine, millennials, dropped the ball. So let's hope Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I have one kid as Gen Alpha, they don't drop the ball. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they have all the tools they need to be effective evangelists.
Any last thoughts, y'all, before you conclude?
I wanted your thoughts on Gen Alpha, bro. What do you think about that gen?
Who, me or Kerrigan?
You.
I don't really know much about Gen Alpha. I think we're going to learn everything we need to know about Gen Alpha by how Gen Z acts in the next 10 years. Everything we need to know about Gen Alpha we'll know in about 10 years through Gen Z. Because everything we know about millennials, you kind of see what that's happened. And millennials, I think, are the worst. I think they're the worst.
I mean, they're the ones raising Gen Alpha.
I know, yeah. But I ultimately think that like Gen Z is going to play a big influence on Gen Alpha, and so, like I like to use this example. My little brother, he literally mirrors me in every way. Like literally everything I do, a year later he's doing or he's wearing or whatever, right? And so literally, I think Gen Alpha is going to be the same thing. However you see Gen Z act, I think it's gonna be on Gen Alpha, but a lot more.
Maybe.
So that's my personal opinion.
Hey,
We'll see.
It's good to be hopeful, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Good to be hopeful.
All right. Any last thoughts before we conclude?
Pray for that Supreme Court case.
Yes.
And pray for this case as well.
Of course.
Man.
Yes, friends. Thank you guys for joining. We are going to be back live again next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central Time, same time here. And if you have any questions or any topics that you want us to cover, email us at ppointpodcast@gmail.com. Christian actually just got access to that email too. So now he is going to be looking. Yeah, it's official. It's like official. It's not just me and
long enough,
Kerrigan.
bro.
My bad, bro. I got stuff going on. But now you have 3 eyes looking on the email. So now you can send us 3 times the emails. Okay. And when I say you can email us, don't email us 20 different emails.
Bruh.
Okay, that's not what I'm saying. You can email us 20 different emails and space them out like over time, but 20 different emails at once. I'm sorry. It's just gonna go, TLDR, man.
Yeah.
TLDR.
Too long don't read.
What is this? I just want to thank you guys. I've had a few good convos tonight with passengers who were listening while riding. Oh wow, look at that. That's
Praise
pretty
God.
cool. If you
Thank you,
so you
Jesus.
got to play it over the Uber. I love that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Uber.
W. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in again. Follow us on YouTube. So right now we're live on Kerrigan's channel, but we post the full 4K version of this on the PinPoint Live YouTube channel. Please go subscribe over there because we're going to want to move all these live streams over there instead of hogging Kerrigan's channel. Also, stay tuned pretty soon for me and Chris. We're coming out with a Halloween preacher video that you guys are going to like. And yeah, appreciate you guys for joining. And this was the PinPoint Podcast. See y'all.
God bless.
God bless.